It's the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. It's Wednesday, January the 24th. Good morning. I woke up early today. I have not had a lot of sleep, and I was stuck on something in my head as I was trying to, make sense of the day. I was thinking about baseball. It's right around the corner. I'm getting kind of excited. There was a guy that played on the Twins, big fella, a Yeti, big, giant dude, catcher. What was his name? Retired a few years ago.
Local
Kirby
fella?
Puckett.
Local, no, not Puckett.
Ken Herbeck.
Not Herbeck. What was Joe Mauer? That was his name.
Oh.
Joe Mauer.
Killebrew, the killer.
Yeah. No. I know Harmon. Joe Mauer. Whatever happened to Joe Mauer? Anybody ever hear from him lately?
Selling cars, I think.
Yeah, is that it? Well, gosh, he always seemed to me like he was a pretty good ball player. This is pretty exciting news. Joe Mauer of your Minnesota Twins is now a member of the Baseball Hall of Fame. Without question, the toughest Hall of Fame to get into. The most prickly bunch of voters in sports history is baseball voters. Joe Mauer, first time on the ballot, got in. He joins only Pudge Rodriguez and Johnny Bench as a catcher getting in on his first ballot. That's it. There's only 3 times that's happened. Pretty astounding tribute to Joe Mauer. The guy, I mean, just right there, we all remember the guy. Of course, everybody knows what he did. 306 in a 15-year career solely with the Minnesota Twins. And as Tony pointed out, late last night, a St. Paul kid.
Yes,
What's going on with the St. Paul baseball scene is solid.
Absolutely.
Man. I mean, you didn't come out of it, but you grew up near it anyway.
Yeah, I heard about good stuff.
Wasn't enough to get you into the Hall of Fame,
Yeah.
but God knows I'm sure you tried.
Hey, I played T-ball.
This is the 13th Twins player to go to the Hall, the 19th catcher, and the 4th son of St. Paul to make it to the Cooperstown. That's impressive, man. That's really, really, really great. Paul Molitor, Dave Winfield, and Jack Morris. As everyone's going, wait, who are the other 3? Or everyone probably actually doesn't have to go, wait, who are the other 3? Everybody's pretty much on top of that. But that's a pretty incredible thing. Off the top of my head, Gary Carter, Buster Posey, Mike Piazza, Carlton Fisk, Yogi Berra, none of those guys got in on the first ballot. Only Bench, Rodriguez, and Mauer, catchers, in on the first ballot.
How about that?
Astonishing. I've been to the Cooperstown Baseball Hall of Fame one time, and it was mind-blowing. I mean, you go in there with an expectation that, I'm going to see some cool stuff. I was fortunate enough to go to get what they call the backstage tour, to just go down to the vaults and all the stuff that's not on display. Because the guy that runs the joint's a big fan of rock music, and we got the hookup, and I went down with him.
Nice.
And he literally put on a table right in front of me, like the actual contract, Babe Ruth being traded from the Red Sox to the Yankees.
Wow.
Not a copy of that actual piece of paper.
What if you spilled coffee on it?
Probably already had
I didn't
beer
say
on it.
I got close enough to touch it, but I was looking at it from like 2 feet away. Stuff like, he said, "Who's your favorite player?" I said, "Eddie Murray." He pulls out his bat from his 501st home run. I'm like, "Oh, okay. You want to hold it?" I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. Do you want to hold Babe Ruth's bat? Yes, I do. Wow. And you got to put on gloves, and he hands it to you, with a look like, please don't drop this. Please don't get me thrown in jail. So Joe Mauer is going to have a bust at Cooperstown. He is now one of the immortals. It's an astonishing thing to do, as I said. So hard to get in, but not a surprise that he's in, but it is a nice surprise on the first ballot. And Joe Mauer, in typical over-the-top fashion, I mean, what a flamboyant personality he always had. Joe Mauer, of course, as is the case, there was someone with a cell phone filming him as he got the phone call. I believe we have the audio.
No, I don't have that audio.
Oh, not that one.
Does that? No, I have Justin Morneau talking about him.
That's actually probably better. Justin Morneau, his longtime teammate, responding to the news. Let's go.
I think I could call you his best friend. Justin Morneau, who was his partner in crime for so many seasons with the Twins. And you have to be elated to see Joe get honored like this.
Yeah, I think it was a question heading into it. What did the voters see? You never really know how they're going to react. And I think they reacted in the right way because he is a Hall of Famer. He's a guy that when he was on the field, he was the best athlete, he was the best player, and he was the best catcher in the game for a long time. So I think he did things that no one else did in the history of the game. The 3 batting titles. I mean, he led the All-Star game in voting for a kid from the Midwest. It's incredible what he did as a player, and I think the voters recognize that.
The 1-2 pitch. Up the middle, his first hit.
Joe Mauer asked about Morneau's comments or about the day, and he said, "Yeah, what he said." It's actually not a quote, but that's probably what he would have said about it.
Okay, guy.
No, it's really cool. And you got to get 75% of the vote. He got 76.1% of the vote. Squeaking in. There are so many great players over the years, of course, who are not in. Torrey Hunter was on the ballot. He will return. He got over 5% of the vote, but nowhere close to the 75. Maybe one day. But the other thing, too, this is the 13th former Twins player and 19th catch. 13 Twins is really impressive. They have one of everybody in the Hall of Fame. Every position on the field is represented by at least one Minnesota Twin. That's really impressive. And then only the 19th catcher. I mean, they've been playing baseball for a long time. There's not even 20 catchers in after yesterday. Seriously exciting stuff for the franchise. And there's going to be a Joe Mauer Day this season. This summer, July 21st is his induction, and then shortly after that, they're going to have a big day at Target Field. Congrats to Joe Mauer and his family and everybody that's been a part of his journey. It's really exciting.
Yeah, great story.
Just unique. Probably saw the guy play. I'm not even kidding. That was my Twins days. That's when I was just going nonstop. Started in the Metrodome, made it over to the big Target Field, and he was just one of those everyday players that showed up and played a great game. It was kind of noticeable when he was on the field that he was probably the best athlete out there. And we're talking about Major League Baseball. The Twins alone had some great athletes on the field, but he made it look effortless, almost to the point where you're like, "Oh, did Joe have a great game today?" "I was all right." And then you'd look at the stats and go, "Oh yeah, he was 3 for 4, had a double, 2 RBIs, and here he is getting that call." Very exciting audio.
Can I speak with Joe Mauer, please?
This is.
Hi, Joe. This is Jack O'Connor with the Baseball Writers Association. I think the last time I spoke with you,
he's going to say thank you in a second, and then we'll cut it.
And I have a much bigger message for you today. The baseball writers are the elected spirit of the whole
blah, blah, blah.
Wow, Jack, that's unbelievable. I don't even know what to say.
There you have it.
That's it. Fantastic. What if he shows up at Cooperstown and runs a Shecky Green shtick, like a whole bit full of Catskills jokes. He does a little juggling, like the Joe Mauer that never showed the crazy side.
He's got a long cigar.
It's going to be fantastic. He did say afterwards when asked, does this change your life? And he said, well, I usually do school pickup. I didn't do it today, so you can just say that. That's an actual quote.
Yeah.
He celebrated getting in by not going to get the kids at school. And probably because what he thought was, well, if I go to get the kids at school, other parents will get excited, and I don't want to slow down the pickup line. Don't come over to congratulate me. And we like things to run in an orderly fashion at the school.
Yeah.
Pretty great. Congratulations, Joe Mauer. That's outstanding. Ryan Gosling was nominated for an Oscar yesterday for his depiction of Ken in the Barbie movie. It's not exactly Hall of Fame material, but it kind of is. If you get an Oscar in one of the acting roles, you have that on you for the rest of your career. Every movie he's ever in from now on will say Oscar nominee or Oscar winner, and that's a very nice thing. Pretty great performance as Ken in Barbie. Was it better than Greta Gerwig, who directed and wrote the film? Probably not. She was not nominated for Best Director for the biggest movie in the world in many a year, which is a little too close to the theme of the movie itself. Also, Margot Robbie not nominated for Best Actress. Interestingly enough, the guy who plays Ken, let's give it to the dude. I don't think it's quite that simple, but it is. I think Gerwig got screwed. She should absolutely have a Best Director nod. I mean, when you make the biggest movie, if you're going to give an Oscar to Titanic, for God's sakes, give it to Barbie. That's what I say.
Right. And visually is unbelievable, and just the money it brought in, and the uniqueness of it.
Maverick the year before got snubbed. That's what they did. The big blockbusters don't get the Oscar nods. Those are the movies we see, not that Oscar crap.
Well, but I'm just saying Barb, Maverick. I don't know. I think Tom Cruise creeps people out behind the scenes. I think there's enough evidence to think that people are just a little. Yeah, he's great and he makes money, but some of that.
What the hell's that got to do with an Oscar?
Some of that off-court stuff. I don't know. Everybody in Hollywood knows someone who's disappeared from his association with that which shall not be mentioned. But here's the thing, Ryan Gosling. Sorry, I don't want to go on a Scientology rant here on the air.
All right.
Ryan Gosling. Here's an interesting thing, though. Got suspended from school for throwing steak knives at other kids. Now, the good part of this story is that he was not in high school. He was in first grade. Chances of actually hurting someone.
Psycho.
It's not like he had, a strong bench press record already established when he was whipping steak knives at other kids. He said he had just seen First Blood. Okay, who's taking a first grader to see First Blood?
My dad and I.
Yeah, there you go. He had just seen First Blood, and he just thought life was a movie from that moment on. So there's a lot of kids who do that sort of thing in first grade, and then they get put on the wrong track, and they end up, not movie stars. Ryan Gosling, thankfully, was not, the Scarlet Letter steak knife thrower wasn't affixed to his forehead. He's done pretty well. So he got busted as a first grader. It was his Fisher-Price Magic Kit steak knife, so it wasn't even actually steak knives.
Okay.
So, what are you going to do? He was punished by not being able to watch R-rated movies anymore. And, of course, I just thought, we've all thrown those steak knives, figuratively speaking, in school. Everybody's got at least one got busted for something dumb in school story, I would have to think. When I say everyone has one, I'm being nice. So maybe we'll look into a few of those a little later in the show. But it got me thinking. I actually there's a photo I could probably find if I looked hard enough of me from like 7th grade. And it's funny because it was in the school yearbook, and it's me very clearly being yelled at by a school administrator in the hallway. She's giving me a dressing down.
That's in the yearbook?
It's in the yearbook.
Yeah.
And, it just looks like a teacher talking to a student. But I hadn't seen it since 7th or 8th grade, whenever it was first there. I came across it like 5 years ago, and I took one look at it, and I went, oh, my God, I could tell from my body language, I'm standing there going, no, it wasn't like that. I think what I was really trying to do I was like, no, I don't think you're, get the whole situation here. See, I thought I was helping. I'm just making up some nonsense. It's pretty obvious. So, yeah, we all run afoul of the administrators and the teachers on occasion. Maybe we'll look into some of that.
Absolutely. Smoking in the boys' room coming up on the KQ Morning Show.
Why not?
And how does Paul Giamatti like his In-N-Out burger? Well, we have the Mike Evans Hollywood Report coming. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, January 24th. January the 24th. January 24th, I can put I can put the definite article anywhere I want, damn it. Candace Wheeler's on the bench today. High ankle sprain, went down in the fourth quarter last night. Docs don't think it's going to be too serious. Ryder filling in today. Good morning, Ryder.
Morning.
Ryder?
It's nice to have you along for the ride.
You say that now, but let's talk about it at 10:01.
Well, you know what? That's a very good point. See, always pragmatic, always a realist. Our very own Ryder in here today.
Lower expectations this morning.
Beautifully done.
Okay.
Delivered with a smile. Just setting us up for disaster, but with a song in your heart, and that's the way it should be.
Cheers.
Thank you for that. We've got a lot going on today. We're going to give away some tickets to something cool and have fun doing it. There's going to be a game at some point, Tony. You've always got some malfeasance cooking up in that addled brain of yours.
7:30 we will play.
Oh, I'm excited. That's only an hour from now. We're going to, what else are we going to do today? There's other stuff. I don't know. But mostly, we're going to talk about we're going to name some snowplows later. That's later.
Well, that's fun.
There's always the snowplow competition. We're talking about things we've done at school that we got in trouble for. Nothing too heavy. Nothing where the police were involved. But just general school malfeasance. Always a fun topic. But right now it's time to head west, young man. It's time for the Mike Evans Hollywood Report.
Hey, good morning, Steve and Candace. Morning, Tony. Good morning, Zepp. And good morning, Minneapolis, St. Paul. This report brought to you by Marcus Theater, and I got all kinds of movie news. And don't forget, there's only one place to see a movie if you're in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and that's any of the Marcus Theaters. Oscar news. Oppenheimer led with 13 nominations. The little movie I've been raving about, Poor Things, got 11 nominations. Killers of the Flower Moon got 10 nominations, and Barbie got 8 nominations. Nominations were handed out yesterday. My vote, if I was going to vote today, Christopher Nolan would win for Oppenheimer as Best Director. Best Actress, Emma Stone for Poor Things. I love that movie. I loved her. Best Actor, Cillian Murphy for Oppenheimer. But Paul Giamatti, a close second. I loved him in Holdovers. Best Picture, Oppenheimer. The big buzz is that while Ryan Gosling was nominated for Barbie, Margot Robbie was snubbed. If you ask me, or if you ask Steve, he'll agree with me. Barbie was way too much fluff, no substance. I didn't even think deserved any nominations, but
disagree entirely.
That's what Steve has
said. I plan to be there at the Dolby Theater in Los Angeles March 10th for the Oscars. You can watch it at home March 10th on ABC TV. Oh, TV news. Write it down. Must see. 3-part Netflix documentary just added called American Nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
American Nightmare. 4 stars. It is really good. A little media news. Did you know that 130 daily newspapers closed last year? Lack of readership, lack of advertising. But here's the scoop. Is it true? The long-famed Los Angeles Times could be next. I hear they're going to lay off 115 people over the next 2 weeks.
Wow.
Whip it. Whip it good. Documentary about Devo debuted at the Sundance Film Festival this week to rave reviews. Love me some Devo. Devo, the documentary, will be streaming everywhere here in the next month. That'll do it for me for today, guys. Have a great day. Talk to you tomorrow. See ya.
Mike Evans, Hollywood Report. Okay, first things last. Devo documentary, I'll watch it 6 times.
Was awesome.
I just absolutely love Devo, and they're one of those bands from one of those times when you just don't have the information readily available. You know, that was pre you could go find out everything you wanted to know about the band. Their appearance on Saturday Night Live. I was talking about this. Let me go ahead and drop a name here. 2 weeks ago, I was in Los Angeles. Josh Freese, drummer with a million different artists over the years, played with Paul Westerberg for years, the Replacements reunion tour a few years back. Most famously now, the drummer for the Foo Fighters. Josh Freese, a tremendous drummer, has played with Devo since 1998.
So cool.
Replacing the original great drummer Alan Myers, who's one of the more unique musicians ever in any instrument. And I was talking to Josh about this very fact, and he said anecdotally, he goes, no, there's no question about it. What the Beatles' appearance on Ed Sullivan was for a generation of musicians, when Devo was on SNL, he goes, people have done studies on this where you literally just aggregate every interview by every musician from the 80s, 90s, and beyond. And he goes, it ranks second to the Beatles on Ed Sullivan as the most name-checked.
Wow.
That was the moment where the lights turned on in my life. And I'm one of those people. I saw Devo on Saturday Night Live and just stared at my TV in disbelief and awe at the same time, going, I have no idea what this is, but I am so in. And I had that album not the next day, Sunday, because of course the record store was closed. I went on Monday and bought the Devo album because of seeing them on Saturday Night Live.
Same. It was like feeling an earthquake.
Yeah, it truly was. So this new documentary, and the more you learn about, I've been in an earthquake, and I actually know it's not like that at all. But it's kind of like getting a cold slap in the face with some Old Spice on your way to the dance. I was so into Devo, and what was I going to say? Boy, that had a good point.
Whip it, I think. You were going to say whip it good.
Whip it good. The documentary, this documentary just showed at Sundance, and apparently it gives you the whole story. But Devo's thing, the more I have learned about them over the years, they were around for years in Akron. I mean, 6-7 years as a band before that SNL. And in a lot of ways, they were sort of coming to the end of their run. And then all of a sudden they had all this international attention, but they were content to just be basically an art project. They didn't have rock star dreams. It was a very different vibe coming out of a very different scene, founded in the, forged in the ashes of the Kent State shooting. That's where that band came from.
That's right.
They were on the campus, right involved in the protests, and it turned into this, we've got to express ourselves. I mean, it's a heavy-duty situation. Anyway, I can't wait for this Devo documentary. I haven't even seen it yet in here, and I'm selling it like there's no tomorrow.
Me too.
I have seen it. It's amazing. It's incredible. I got onto Devo with the Dr. Demento show out there in South Dakota. Some weirdo. There was one other weirdo in South Dakota that would put it on at like 10 o'clock on Friday nights, and I never missed it. So got in. But if you only know, most people know Devo through Whip It.
Right.
One Whip It and that one. So I would say probably 99% of our listeners would not dig the documentary, but it's awfully entertaining, and there's a hell of a lot more to Devo than Whip It. Maybe they would. I don't know.
Yeah. A story well told is always worth checking out. And then Evans just mentioned the American Nightmare. We had Bernadette Higgins, I believe her name was, who directed that on the show last week. Still haven't seen it. My wife has seen it, and she says to me every single day, when are you going to watch it? So I'll get around to it. She's like, no, really. 3 episodes, and she goes, you'll run right through all 3 of them, like right in a row.
Hollywood has never come up with anything so crazy. In fact, I mean, if you pitched that to Hollywood, they'd go, we got to clean it up a little bit. I mean, we got to make it somewhat believable, but it happened.
That's a pretty good selling point right there. Let's look back. How about a sports and music history lesson?
I like sports. I know music better than anybody else in this f***ing office.
And who are you, old sport?
I'm Steve.
Ha-ha! It's January 24th. On this day in 1982, the 49ers finally got their first Super Bowl. They beat the Bengals in Super Bowl 16. That's right. A game of firsts. It was the first appearance for the Niners and the Bengals. First time since Super Bowl III where that happened. It was also the first time a Super Bowl had been held in a cold weather city. Up until then, it was either California, Texas, Louisiana, or Florida. Does anyone remember 1982, Joe Montana's first Super Bowl? Where was that game held? Tony?
I do not. Anchorage, Alaska.
Yeah. Ryder, where was the game held? 1982 Super Bowl. You should know this.
Was Detroit?
There you go. Atta girl, the Silver Dome, no longer there. The one Lions fan in the house. I figured she'd get this one. The Silver Dome hosted the game, and it's a very famous game, of course, because San Francisco, they won 5 in a span of 14 years, and this was the first. But the most famous play of the playoffs was from the NFC Championship game a week before, and that was the catch, the Montana to Dwight Clark to beat the Cowboys. And for that, we're still eternally grateful. Anytime anyone beats the Cowboys, we have to tip our hats. That's the rules around here. On this day in 1999, David Duval at the PGA Tour competition, Bob Hope Chrysler Classic, shot a 59. 59 at a PGA event for only the 3rd time ever. Al Geiberger, Chip Beck, and David Duval are the 3 names that would never come to anyone's mind when you say, anyone ever break 60 on the PGA Tour? Can you imagine, Zepp, a 59, just what it would be like to walk 18 with someone playing at that level?
18. I was going to say at Craigan's I shot a 59, but yeah, if you count all 18 holes.
18 holes. No, not the front or the back, but both.
It's mind-boggling. It's someone's lying. I feel like someone's lying to me.
It really is
incredible.
True. I remember when that happened and thinking about it, because at that point the late 90s were when I was at the best I could be in golf, and I'd still never broken 80. I had some 80s and some 81s. I'd never shot 79.
Damn fine score.
Yeah, really great score in my mind. And I'm thinking, now granted he's a pro, but still, somebody just went 21 strokes better than my best ever round. And I'm hitting my best ever round on a municipal goat farm, with some gimmies. He's shooting a legit 59 on the PGA Tour. That is Herculean. That's running an Ironman every day for a month. It just doesn't make sense.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zepp, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, January the 24th. Good morning. We have been discussing on the show today school hijinks, malfeasance of the not so serious order. We've all had moments, we look back on our schooling days, where we were either an active participant or a peripheral observer of the S going down, as they say. We all had our moments. This was spurred by the fact that Ryan Gosling, nominated for an Oscar yesterday, in an interview said he was in trouble in school for throwing steak knives at another student once. He was a first grader. His parents took him to see First Blood as a first grader, and his response was to go to school and start throwing knives at people. Zep, you said your dad took you to see First Blood, but you weren't in first grade. You were older by then.
Yeah, I was at like early 80s, so I think I was like 12 or 13 or something like that by the time. But that's the only movie Dad ever took us to. We went to movies or whatever. I think we went to Mom took me to Ice Castles, for God's sakes. I've never
Robbie Benson.
Oh, my God. I can hear that sad song, too.
Still a deep scar from that one. But First Blood, man, if I had my access to steak knives, I might have, and the thing I think is fun about that is as you look at the steak knife, it's obviously serrated. Most steak knives are, where in First Blood he had that big special forces knife that was serrated on the top, so I could see where the steak knife thing would spark an imagination that Ryan Gosling certainly has. Toy steak knives, by the way. But First Blood, that was, you don't need to go to another movie after that.
No, that's batting 1,000. You go to one movie with your pops and it's First Blood. You guys never need to see another film together. You've peaked.
Do we get to win this time?
You drew First Blood.
You better bring a lot of body bags.
Oh, my God. I might start streaming it here during some of the commercial breaks. But, the KQ Facebook page has blown. I've been copying and pasting here. Has blown up. Well over 130 comments already this morning. Craig, the principal, saying my car leaving all the time, but I had a great attendance record because my friend worked in the attendance office.
Oh.
Got into a little trouble for that one.
Yeah.
I just jotted down a few. I tried to organize a school strike. I had gone to a track meet at one of the big schools in one of the big cities. Can I call it a city in South Dakota?
Sure.
And they told me they had open campus. Like, when they weren't in class, they could just leave the school grounds.
Okay.
And in Woolsey, I thought, that BS, man. We should have open campus. I don't know where you'd go in Woolsey once you left the school grounds. Down to the gas station, I suppose. But I had organized a school strike where we were all going to sit in our desk and not go to our classes and not participate. And everybody was in until it was time to participate. Then I was the only one. So off to the... I learned a little something there about organizing people. Don't try.
Yeah, you're not. You're saying you're not a natural Norma Ray, is what you're telling me.
No, just a natural troublemaker. I must have broken some sort of record in high school. I started a fire by accident in the girls' locker room, smoking because they kept busting us in the boys' locker room. Caught red-handed trying to break into a teacher's locked desk to get the answers to a test. Caught having sex in school library.
Wow.
Shooting pigeons on school grounds. Put the shop teacher's car in cinder blocks so he couldn't leave school.
Wow.
And one of my most infamous ones, my senior year, removed the basketball hoops before a big regional playoff game. They didn't have extras laying around.
Where'd you put them?
This is you, or this is a book you read?
That was me.
My God, that's an incredible list.
Thank you very much.
That is really impressive, Ryder.
That's how you end up in radio.
Ryder, I think we have a phone call, do we not?
If I'm lucky, we're going to have a phone call. Hang on.
Who we got here on the horn?
Jay from Prior Lake.
Jay, good morning. Are we lucky? I guess not.
I was a troublemaker, Steve.
Sorry, Jay. Looks like we're having a little communication problem here. Sit tight. We're going to get to you in a moment. Zep, I got to go back to remove the rims from the basketball hoops.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Jay, are you there? Can you hear me?
Jay's not responding.
Did you guys hear me all right? Are you guys there? Hello, I love the show. Big fan.
Oh, thanks, Jay.
Where's Candace at this morning?
Wow. Sound like you're from South Dakota. Tony, we got a text or two. We have a text or two, right?
Yeah, we do. I thought this was funny. Jerry from Maple Grove said he made protest signs saying school lunch sucks, more variety now. And he got detention.
That's great.
What do we want? Variety. When do we want it? Now.
I didn't get, it wasn't so much trouble, but I got into a bit of a beef, which that just reminded me. The 1980 presidential campaign, which was, of course, Jimmy Carter, the incumbent, Ronald Reagan, the upstart from the Sunshine State. Carter Reagan, 1980, a big societal shift and a schism and a real moment in history from what those two guys represented and where the country went, all in hindsight. But it felt that way as it was happening, too. 15 years old, first time really, not my first time paying attention to an election, but my first time feeling like I can actually speak on this to some. I really was a kind of a junkie for that stuff at that time. So my school, I went to a really small school, and they always had the mock election, and then they would have debates. They would ask someone to be representative of, somebody get up and be the Carter proxy, somebody be the Reagan proxy. And so I ran as Gus Hall, the American Communist Party proxy.
Yes.
Which I knew nothing about that. All I know is there's a Communist Party in this country. There's a guy named Gus Hall. I'll just stir up the pot by doing this. I had no actual understanding or leanings toward the American Communism Party. But I did a little bit of research. I got up and I participated in the debate, and then the school would hold a mock election, and the little tiny town newspaper would print the results of all the high school's mock elections. Funny. Gus Hall came in second place at the little weirdo school that I went to, and that got a lot of attention in the little small town, and people were very stirred up. And the principal actually said, "Hey, come here for a minute." I walked in his office. He goes, "We've gotten several phone calls today, very irate, low people in the community who think that we're spreading communism here at the school, like for real." Wow. And he was like, "So I'm just saying." He goes, and I've told them this was all just a play acting, and but are you a communist? And he was kind of laughing as he said it. He goes, "I just feel like I have to ask." I go, "No, what are you talking about?" I was like, "My dad's a Marine. I didn't even tell him I was doing this. He'd kill me." And it was just a thing. But it could have blown up. In the modern age with social media, I would have had to leave town.
Especially during the Cold War era,
That's what I'm saying.
Still got really whipped up about communism, But I don't know. Today, things are so outrageous. Who knows? Gus Hall might be my write-in 2024.
Well, I started this whole thing, which I carried as an adult. My shtick was, and I said, I judge a country's value by its greatness by two things: nuclear arsenal and Olympic gold. And right now, we're number one. And everybody was like, it was a great line. I carried that one around forever.
T-shirt.
Ryder, did we get our caller back, do we think? Is that what's happening?
50-50. I think I got him.
All right. Jay, are you with us? Good morning,
guys,
sir. What do you got? Hey, what do you got for us, brother? We can hear you loud and clear.
Sounds good. Say, when I was a young lad in elementary school, we used to get to go to Seconds for lunch if you ate all your food.
Ooh, nice.
I raised my hand. They came over to look for Seconds, and she said, "You didn't eat your coleslaw." I said, "I can't eat that stuff. It makes me sick." She said, "Well, you got to try a bite." I tried a bite, threw up on the table, started a chain reaction down the whole table.
Oh, that's great.
Fourth graders throwing up down the table, which got me 2 weeks of lunches in the principal's office.
Oh, come on, man.
I decided to drop my food down the heat register that was where my table was.
Oh, my God.
And they caught me on that, and that got me a month of classes with the principal themselves.
I love it, Jay. We're best friends.
Let me get this straight. You're in fourth grade. You tell your teacher, "That will make me sick." She says, "You got to eat it." You eat it. It makes you sick, and then you get in trouble?
That was how it worked. And then after I did all that and got my classes, they called my dad, and I got my ass beating because he was an Air Force sergeant.
Sure. Wow.
Sure.
It all makes sense.
Oh, man.
Yeah, embarrassing an adult was the biggest crime you could do as a kid, So embarrassing a teacher, it wasn't right or wrong. You embarrassed a teacher. There's a price to pay for that. Jay, high five, buddy.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging around. That was well worth the wait, brother. Appreciate the call.
Have a great one, guys.
Thank you. 651-989-ROCK is the number if you want to share. If you can top, I started a class-wide vomitarium with coleslaw in fourth grade. Feel free to try to top that one. Because just that story, all of us can immediately picture that scene in fourth grade.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I can completely imagine it's like the, a bucket line, except for you need buckets because you're not putting out a fire. You're just vomiting one after the other like dominoes. No Susie, no Jimmy, no Tommy. Blah blah blah. I can just see it going down the table. That's great.
Janitor coming in with that big 50-pound feed bag of
the orange powder.
The orange powder.
I was that janitor at my school. My senior year, I worked my job after school, and during school years was with the physical plant. I cut the grass on the soccer field, and I just did a lot of work. And I had keys to everything. They trusted me. Yeah, it's crazy. I never rifled through a teacher's desk, but I was the guy during school hours. I would be Steve Gorman come to the office, and that meant someone threw up somewhere, and you got to get the orange powder.
Sounds like ought to be a punishment more than anything. But no, this was the greatest thing ever. The first time that happened, it was usually the younger kids, but I was told that in the high school science room, somebody had just blown chunks all over the floor, and I needed to get in there. And I walked in, and it was my recently broken up with ex-girlfriend had done it. And boy, talk about insult to injury. It's bad enough she's already embarrassed, and then I wasn't there, but then I was to clean it up, and I was like, and of course I'm like, I would have known this is you anywhere. I'm just like giving her grief, but she's already been to the bathroom crying and cleaned up and come back by the time I got there. It was great. That's a solid scene in an after-school special.
That's exactly what it was. That really was man. Good. Are we gonna hang here, or are we gonna go to the game? Let's just call an audible. What are we doing? I'm gonna leave it to you guys. We got a game to play, or we can continue to talk about...
We can play the game a little later.
Let's do the game at 8. I like this. We're getting calls.
Well, no, we have a guest at 8.
Let's do the game at 7:30.
We can do it at 8:30.
Let's wait till 8:30.
Let's do it at 8:30.
I love a good group decision on the fly.
You're both suspended.
That's it.
All right, well, then we're going to keep this rolling along here. Some a little trouble you got into at school. I'm just going to rip through a couple on the KQ Facebook post. Jump on there. There's a whole bunch of them. This is fun reading. Aaron suspended for wearing a Bart Simpson shirt that said, "Don't have a cow, man." Woodbury, junior high, 92. I love it. Donna, rolling up my skirt to make it shorter and forgetting to roll it back down before I got home. Got in a little trouble for that one. Matt Gustafson, Heelys. Remember Heelys with the wheel heel? Not around. You can't be heeling down the hallway. Getting a little bit of trouble for that one. Wow. Add it to the KQ Facebook post. We're going to keep the good time. I already forgot. Are we doing the game show at 8:30?
Yes,
8:30.
Okay, 8:30 is the game. 7:30 is more school malfeasance.
Let's get Ryder's palms all sweaty here answering the talk and text line this morning. 651-989-ROCK. I think she's figured it out. If you've got a little school trouble you want to call in this morning, and please hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, January the 24th. Joe Mauer is in the Hall of Fame. I'm feeling pretty good about things, generally speaking, as well. Congrats to him. Today on the show, we've been discussing things we got in trouble for at school. Not so serious. We're not looking for handcuff stories, but more just stern talking to stories. On the KQ Facebook page, there are many dozens of comments. Everybody's got a criminal past. I like this one from Mary. Letting my boyfriend give me a kiss at recess. Had to stay in for a week and write something down so many times. That sounds like that's old school. That's like early days back in the day. Mary, did that boy give you a kiss? By gosh, you're going to write on this chalkboard 6,000 times. Something tells me the word hussy was thrown around that story.
Trollop.
Loose. The word loose was used in that story.
And back then, he probably didn't get anything. Well, of course, a boy's going to try to kiss you. That's what boys do. Girls have to stop them. These are fantastic. I'm going to be, after the show, scrolling through this post. How about Connie? The Crusader stole the hamster from science class. He was mistreated. My mom picked me up because she knew what I was going to do. I did get in trouble and had to give the hamster back.
Oh, I thought Mom was the getaway driver for that at first. I thought, man, you guys, that's a family caper.
No, Mom doesn't want a hamster at home, probably. How about Leslie? Oh, Leslie. My sister from another, I don't know, it doesn't make it much, put baby powder in the air dryers after gym class. When the bell rang, went and hit all the blow dryers, and baby powder went everywhere.
Oh, very strong. I like that one.
Mary, however, a different Mary than the kisser, the boyfriend kisser at recess,
right.
taking off regularly to go pick up Cholitos for everyone at Zantigo. Now, I did skip out on a lot of school to have accumulated well over 100 plus detention days.
Good Lord.
But have you ever had a Cholito? They're amazing.
Oh, Cholito. Are you kidding me? I grew up on that stuff.
Right, and there's
Cholitos.
like 15 comments to her post on the KQ Facebook page.
I'm sorry, then. I'm missing this local knowledge. Give me a little info. What are we talking about?
Zantigo, fast food Mexican Cholito, just melted, spicy.
Still with us or no longer with us?
Still with us.
Oh, well, okay.
A little different incarnation, but still Zantigo.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Really close to the original recipe.
I'll add it to the list. That's exciting news.
Tony Lee, you've been awfully quiet, and you are the actual prankster on the show. What gives here, buddy?
I was a troublemaker here and there. Well, okay, I got a couple. I'll try and be brief. I was the third grade was show and tell, and I decided to just share something I saw on my way to school. So I went up in the front of the class, and I started barking and thrashing and growling and slammed into a desk and rolling on the floor. And then I calmly got up and I said I saw two dogs fighting as I walked to school. Wow. I remember my teacher, Miss Carlin, just stared at me and she called my parents, concerned about my state of mind.
I'm sure she was.
Mm-hmm. We didn't have ADHD drugs back then.
Oh,
Where's
God.
the Ritalin?
I was proud of myself doing a little acting job there.
And you're at that age too. By third grade, you're so fully aware of your own genius. Any third grader is, and you're like, I nailed that performance.
I did. I wasn't embarrassed at all.
The look on her face, you interpreted as she feels like I'm the next Olivier.
Well, and there was a rehearsal for high school graduation, Highland Park, a big class of 700. And I think I told this before, but on a dare, I fell down the stairs on purpose.
Oh, nice.
And I was offered $100 to do it at the actual graduation. But the principal confronted me. He goes, Mr. Lee, first of all, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Listen, mister, you pull that stunt at graduation ceremony and I'll yank your diploma. You got that?
Oh,
so
man.
I didn't do it, but it's because I didn't want to embarrass my parents.
Wow.
But I could have used $100.
Yeah, right.
My Tony's a good boy.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. 651-989 is the talk and text line. Ryder filling in for Candace today. Do we have a caller or two or three? Do we have anybody on the horn?
If we're lucky, we do. Let's check in with Lori from Coon Rapids.
Lori, good morning.
Hi.
How are you this morning?
I'm great. How are you?
We're great. What have you got for us?
Well, senior year of high school, for a pep fest, my class decided we were going to do a little spoof on Leave It to Beaver.
Okay.
And towards the end of the skit, June turned to Ward and said, I'm so proud of my beaver. Needless to say, we got disqualified for our skit. However, afterwards, a couple of the teachers came up to us and said, that was the best skit ever.
Yeah, sure they did.
Vindication.
Wow. That's strong. It's a subtle difference between the word my and the.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that's where the gold lies. Lori, thanks for the call. That's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, I'm so proud of my beaver. Yeah, that would have gotten a few eyebrows raised at my school, too. No question about it. Ryder, do we have somebody else?
Sure. Let's check in with Ray from Anoka.
Ray, good morning, sir.
Hey, good morning, guys.
What do you got for us, brother?
Long story short, in 10th grade, we did a ski and snowboard trip out to Whitefish, Montana that you had to apply for.
Mm-hmm.
I was initially denied, begged my dad to write them a letter to let me go. He did. They let me go. The very first night, I got caught with some weed.
Sure he did.
Yeah, the cops came. Well, I wanted to smoke weed in the mountains, just try it.
Yeah,
But the cops came, put us in handcuffs. It was me and another guy. Brought us to the police station, and then we had to take the Amtrak home. And I literally begged them to just let me do life in prison because I did not want to pay for dad. Because I knew
you wrote a letter, man.
You got your dad to write a letter, and then you stabbed him in the back with that joint. Oh my God!
It was the longest 20-minute train ride or 20-hour train ride back home, and it was an even longer ride from the Amtrak station back home. And caught a week suspension, and my dad never co-signed anything for me for the rest of his life.
Man, Ray, so much for that first house loan, you know? Oh, Ray, that's a personal baton death march for sure. That every mile on that Amtrak, one mile closer to certain death. That is brutal. Ray, thanks for the call, brother. That's great.
Yeah,
man.
Thank you, guys.
The school trip stuff. That's like the overnight trips in my school. Soccer and basketball. Occasionally, we'd have an overnight. We'd 2 games on a weekend, and it's far enough away where it would warrant taking a busload of miscreants to a hotel for the night. And the coach would you've seen it in every sports movie ever, like, you're gonna get a good night's sleep tonight. And I was probably 40 before it dawned on me, every coach I had, they knew we weren't going to sleep. They knew we were gonna lose the second game because we'd been up all night. They just, that's what it is. But I thought, man, these guys really think that we're like the Packers. What do they think? What do they think? We're the Crimson Tide of Alabama going to the Sugar Bowl? We're gonna drink Coca-Colas and be up all night. Come on, Coach.
And right on. All right, back to the KQ Facebook page. Ray Eric. Where have I heard that name before? It sounds so familiar to me. Ray stuck an insulated fork in a restroom power outlet, tripped the breaker. A bunch of classrooms went dark, causing applause. I'm going to give you a little golf applause for that one, Ray. That a boy. Is Charlie up in Wyoming still on the horn, Ryder?
Yeah, hang tight.
That's my line.
Charlie, we got you.
I'm teasing.
Yeah, I'm here.
Good morning, Charlie. What do you got for us?
Oh, this is back in the 1980, senior in high school. Stink bombs were kind of a big thing in the U.S., but my buddy went to Ireland with his grandmother, and they got these little potent vials of it smelled like sulfur, but they were like little vials, 2 inches glass vial that you would break. The glass was very breakable, and it would just stink up a whole gymnasium. But we had the bright idea, hey, we'll do this at lunch one time at school, in high school. So instead of doing 1, we said, hey, let's just do 2 of them. So what he would do, he'd walk in front of me, he'd drop it on the ground. I would step on it and crush it. And next thing you know, the whole lunchroom common area was just smelling of sulfur. Everybody jumped up, started throwing their lunches away. People were gagging everywhere. And the principal and the assistant principal running through trying to figure out where the sulfur smell was coming from. And we didn't get in trouble, but the funny thing is that there's only 2 of us left in there laughing our butts off of everything that's going on. And we never got in trouble for it, but the smell was awful. And obviously stuff coming from Europe wasn't regulated, so it was a very potent sulfur smell.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah, my first thought was you'd never get away with that now. Going through customs at TSA in 2024. What's this? It's glass vials of stink.
Oh,
that's not going to work.
All right.
That is not going to work. Great one right there. I love any story that ends with "we never got caught" is always a better story too. So that's great. Thank you for that call. Boy, that reminds me. I can't. Well, I got another one. It'll take me a minute to share, but it involves a microwave oven and a golf ball. Let me tell you something.
Nice. I like it.
Oh, you have no idea unless you've been there yourself. Plenty of. I feel like we're just now scratching the surface on this one, ladies and gentlemen.
Let's keep scratching here at 8:00. We'll keep this rolling. Don't forget, we have the game show at 8:30 up for grabs. Judas Priest tickets, May 2nd at the Armory. Stoked about that. Brother Almanac with Steely Dan runner-up prize today. So that's at 8:30. 8:00, we're going to keep talking about not so serious things that got you into trouble at school. I was just thinking, if you could make a school cafeteria smell worse and get people to gag, that's quite a feat. So give us a call, talk and text line. We got it all figured out. 651-989-ROCK. Of course, we have the KQ Facebook post as well. Let's have some fun. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, January the 24th. A fine day in the Twin Cities as a local son, Joe Mauer, goes to the Hall of Fame yesterday with 76% of the vote. Joe Mauer will be inducted in Cooperstown. He is only the 3rd catcher ever to go in his first year of eligibility. That is throughout the history of baseball. I mean, that's an incredible accomplishment. It makes perfect sense. I'm not surprised that Joe Mauer is in. I'm surprised he got in the first year because baseball writers are just insane.
Yeah.
And, there are people who are like, I didn't vote for him just because I didn't want everyone to vote for him. I mean, it's every year. There's these old cranks.
Surly.
But, Johnny Bench, Ivan Pudge Rodriguez, and Joe Mauer. That is every catcher to ever go into the Hall of Fame on the first ballot. That is esteemed company. Congratulations to Joe Mauer. Congrats to the Twins. My man played his whole career there. Of course, everybody here knows that. And I called him a Yeti earlier. Yes, 6'5", playing catcher. Seriously, man, that guy's knees need to be in the joint Hall of Fame.
Right.
I got lucky. I was, just for a short period of time, I may have dated her for her box seats right down there on the first base line. And so you'd always see Joe and Justin and those guys come out, and they'd walk right past you. Didn't realize how tall 6'5" was on a baseball field till he would walk past you. But he was, think about, has there been another baseball player in the modern era to have played every one of his every home baseball game he ever played since the day he was born in the state of Minnesota?
Phenomenal. That's a hell of a stat. Like, of all the things you see, no one mentions that one, at least not nationally. That's incredible.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
By the way, the fourth guy from St. Paul to go into the Hall of Fame, check this out. There are 13 Twins in the Hall of Fame. There are 4 St. Paul natives. Those 4 represent over 1% of the entire Baseball Hall of Fame.
St. Paul boys.
Just one town has 1%. And it ain't Los Angeles or New York City. It's St. Paul. That's an astounding accomplishment for St. Paul. So congrats to everybody involved in that one, because, of course, no one gets to the Hall of Fame by themselves. His family, his friends, his coaches. That's truly, imagine being that guy's high school coach or his Babe Ruth coach or whatever. Everybody ever was a part of that guy's career right now is just in a great mood, and I'm happy for everybody on that list. We've been discussing all day long at great length and without any shortage of calls and texts and Facebook posts, school malfeasance for the most part. What sort of minor things did you get yourself caught up in trouble with? Before we take some calls, any texts that you wanted to share right now, Tony?
Oh, we got handfuls full of them.
So many.
Chad in Coon Rapids says, got caught in 5th grade with a page from a nudie magazine.
Nudie.
Principal told me he couldn't even bother to look at such rubbish as he balled it up and threw it into the trash. But when my parents showed up, he described exactly what was in the pictures.
He threw it in his trash can, knowing that his trash can would be emptied by him later that day.
And Diane from Ellsworth, Wisconsin says, as one of the few girls in shop class, I spot welded the spot welder to itself. Teacher asked why I did it. I said I was curious if it would, and he blew up and said, "No one wonders that."
Yeah, curiosity.
Got in trouble.
It would be like a shop teacher to really smash curiosity. The curiosity, no place for that
hilarious.
In a school. Yeah.
We got popped. I got popped in 8th grade as part of a group note that was being passed around with 15 or 16 different guys all signed. And the whole point of the note was we were, of course, 1 through 5 stars ranking every girl in school.
Oh, yes.
We ended up in the principal's office where not one but both of his daughters were on that list and ranked. One of them had 5 stars and one of them had 1 star. And he is an adult man who really can see past the subjective nature. But all we're thinking is he's going to murder us because of what we said about daughter number 2. And he didn't even mention it. But it was just one of those. That's all you're thinking is if we'd given both his daughters 5 stars, we wouldn't even be here. That's what I'm thinking at the time.
Yeah, just think a bunch of nerds at Harvard started doing that and called it the Facebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Where it's kind of a hot or not deal, and it worked out for one of them anyway.
Certainly seemed to be the case, no doubt about it. We've got it looks like just under 1 billion phone calls on the show today. Ryder is filling in for Candace Wheeler. Candace is under the weather. Very happy to have Ryder with us. Who is on the horn right now, Ryder?
Hey, let's talk to Tom from Minneapolis.
Tom, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you got for us, brother?
Well, I went to St. Thomas Grade School in southwest Minneapolis, and when we were in 5th and 6th grade, we'd go, a bunch of little boys would go in the upstairs bathroom, and we'd pee on the radiators.
Sure. It's a hobby.
Yeah. That checks out.
And the stairs would stink like urine being fried on the radiators.
Yeah.
Hot urine.
I can smell it. I can smell it right now.
It's a great band name.
Doing spot checks and catching us peeing on the radiators as we're
Yes. Man, that is awesome. The original working title of Cat on a Hot Tin Roof was Pee on a Hot Radiator.
Yes.
Man, that's great. I literally, just those words coming out of Tom's mouth, and I'm like, oh, I know that smell.
Sure.
I completely know that smell.
Just hear the sizzle.
Oh,
I'm honored that we get to do a radio show for these people every morning. That they're riding in with us in the morning. I've never been more honored. High five.
No question.
Tom.
Ryder, who else have we got? It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah,
hey, let's talk to Steve in Minneapolis. Has some good keg stories.
Steve, good morning, sir.
Steve, you still there?
Good morning. Can you hear me, guys?
Oh, yeah, loud and clear, brother. What do you got for us?
All right. Hey, I got to preface this story. My kids are in the...
They're in the cone of silence from Get Smart.
Dang it.
We just lost you, Steve. All right, maybe we'll get him back. He's gone. We can't hear him.
All you have to do is say, I've got a good keg story. And if it's a keg in school, yeah. I don't think that's the one. I don't think we ever got around to that one out there in Woolsey, actually getting a keg onto school grounds during school.
Oh, gosh,
maybe in the summer or something like that. We might have, I don't know.
I went to my school was too small to get away with too much. Like you couldn't even miss a class. There was no cutting school. It was just my senior class had 12 people, and it was small. But the biggest class ever was 22. So I mean, the range was from 12 to 22. You just never got away with a single thing. I got busted. I had the greatest near miss in adolescent school history. 9th grade. A girl who shall remain nameless and I found ourselves in one of the classrooms. There was not a class happening. We were in there for some reason. I don't even remember why, but it could have easily been go to the English room and get some extra somethings. But we found ourselves in a room, just the two of us, and we were not boyfriend and girlfriend. We hadn't even been flirting. It was just two hormonally charged 14-year-olds suddenly found themselves alone in a room, and just cut to the quick. Because I don't even remember the buildup, it turned into a literal bad 80s high school movie scene where it was, you show me yours, I'll show you mine. And I remember, I that was the closest I've ever been to a heart attack, just going, I can't, this is actually going to happen.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm thinking to myself, wow. I was just speechless. And as my classmate, as she opened up her blouse, which she fully did, Mr. Anderson walked in, the English teacher.
Whoops.
And I was far enough away from her where I could conceivably be like, what's happening? I don't even, how the? And he said, Mr. Gorman, get out of here. And first thing he said was, get out of the room. He just cleared the room, which now, as I say that, it's really creepy. But at the time, he just gave her, but then he just told her, button yourself, and took her right to the principal's office.
Well,
and here's the funny thing, because this is how it goes when you're 14. We never spoke of it again. It was just we just looked at each other weird, and both got, neither one of us was busted. Her parents probably were involved, but I don't know, because we never talked about it ever. That's a real thing that happened, and I'm like, how did we spend the next 3 years at school and never ever once bring that up?
Right.
Yeah.
And so the greatest near miss, of course, because just follow that forward 60 more seconds. I would have been the guy that they would still be talking about, that I walked in and he had a Schwanza out right there in class. Imagine.
Yeah. Were you ready to to demonstrate?
She went first, and I was like, well, I can't. I mean, my God, I'm going to have to do this too. And I was not feeling like excited. I was just nervous and scared to death.
That's fair.
It was overwhelming, everything. And but thankfully, whew, boy. But I mean, seriously, if that had been me, that's all I would have been known as for the rest of my high school career.
Absolutely.
Your name would have been ruined in that small town. You would have never. I mean, we never go back anyway, right? But yeah, legendary status. Your name would have ended up on graffiti.
Well, I tell you what would have been
a phallic symbol.
Looking back now, maybe I would have been expelled. Maybe then I would have had no choice but to buy a drum kit, and I could have got this whole thing started much earlier in life.
Yeah, he just took a different path.
Then it would have made sense. Then it would have made sense. It was like, Steve, he's in a band. band? Huh? He's always such a nice guy. Huh. Go figure. Anyway, Ryder, we've got other phone callers, I do believe, waiting to share their illustrious tales. Who we got?
Yeah, let's talk to Jim in Chaska.
Jim, good morning.
Morning, guys.
What do you got for us?
So I almost got busted for running an illegal football pool in high school. I had a sheet of all the games, and I charged everybody $1. They had to give it back to me on Friday before they left school. And how I almost got busted is I'm in the dean's office getting a pass to be able to get excused to go to the orthodontist that day, and the other dean walked in and threw this football sheet on his desk and said, somebody's running a football pool in school here. And I'm just looking at it going, oh, crap, I'm busted. And they didn't know it was me. And the dean looked at the other guy. He goes, go find out who it is, and we'll fix this. And I'm like, that was the last week I ran a football pool.
Yeah, man.
That's having it together in high school, man.
No kidding.
Life of crime for you after that?
I took a little cut off the top, and then I paid the winner, so it was pretty profitable every week.
How long ago are we talking?
I'm going to age myself and go back to 1977.
Whoa! Oh, heroic status. A football pool in the late 70s? That's hard work.
Brilliant.
Especially when you didn't have access to a copier.
Yeah, of course. That's amazing.
It was all printed.
You were doing you perfected neutral handwriting.
Yeah, it was ATL versus CHI, and that's how it went.
Yeah, right on. Thanks for the call. That's great.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, do we have I think we got Steve back on the horn. Kegger Steve, we call him. Is that true, Ryder?
Kegger Stevie.
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me, guys?
Let's go, brother. What do you got?
All right, so we're throwing keg parties a lot in high school, good or bad, and we printed these flyers on a Friday night, handed them out, had several hundred people in this parking lot by Worth Park, and we're in there drinking beer. Everyone shows up in their cars. People are making out with their girlfriends in the back seat. And what do you expect? Of course, 4 squads come showing up halfway through the party. But as I think I mentioned earlier before I got cut off, we had ridden our mountain bikes to the park after dropping off the beers, so we could get away.
Yeah.
And so the squads pull up. They pin everyone in there. They start right there, busting all these kids, and we jump on our bikes and shoot through the park, and the cops can't catch us.
Nice.
It's beautiful. Turns out about a quarter of the class gets hauled in by the cops. They get sent into the principal later. I think several of them had to do some truancy or some, little suspensions and stuff. We got away. They somehow traced the flyers back to us. They hauled us into the principal's office, and they interrogated us. But we had our story. We stuck to the story, and they could not pin it on us. So we got away, but about probably 20-25% of the class got hosed, and it was a great party.
Great party.
That's fantastic.
Early 90s St. Louis Park debauchery
Yeah.
of Worth Park.
That's a great story, Steve. The only people that had a better night than you that night were the cops themselves, because they sat there listening for like 30 minutes. Do we go now? No, let's all get them a little bit more drunk.
Right.
Let's get them. They were just sitting on the outside reliving their life from 10 years earlier, laughing like, this is just bobbing for apples here in a minute. This is going to be great.
I love that Steve has a crew, and they prepared for the bust. A lot of us prepared for the party. We never thought about the bust. That's why we always got cut. They not only prepared for the bust, but nobody cracked under interrogation.
Fantastic.
That's a fantastic crew there, Steve.
Steve's the guy who boards a commercial flight with a parachute.
Yes. Yeah.
Got to have an exit plan. That's great, Steve.
With those guys to this day. So have a great day.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Very
when you
cool.
get away with something like that, you're bonded for life. It's like a bunch of it's like a jewelry heist you pulled off, and then every few years you see each other in town, and you don't talk, you just nod and move on. You've got that bond, but you can't let anybody know. That's good. Maybe I'm getting a little bit overly romanticizing here, but that's pretty great stuff.
Get
Not
this
at all.
We just got a text. I'm a high school principal. I'm driving in for the Minnesota Association of Secondary School Principals Conference.
Nice.
I turned into your show perfect just this morning to find out how to deal with pranksters like I've heard on your show. So shout out to all us principals hitting there today. It goes on starting today.
If any high school kid gets away with any of these types of things now, they should be named President of the United States. Because if you can get away with anything in the modern age, you are just a step ahead of everybody else. I mean, like that back in the day, 77. 7. The guy's running a sports book. You just got to, they couldn't bust him. But nobody can keep a secret. Everybody's got to share what they're doing on their TikTok or whatever. Oh, yeah. Snapchat. I Snapchat the spreads. Damn it. It's like, oops, I forgot to document all the things I'm doing wrong. Do we have time for one more call, Ryder?
Sure, let's talk to Rick. We're going to fudge a little. He has got a church story.
That works too. What do you got, Rick?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Great. What do you got for us?
Oh, so this is back in the 70s. So I was a senior in high school, and, we have church retreats from my church. And so we were in the pool area, and we met some girls from another group, and they didn't like the boys. So we agreed to meet them out later on in the evening. And, I forgot to tell you, though, I always prepare the retreats. I empty a Skull bottle, put gin in, and then put green food coloring in.
Okay. Gin and
I did the Listerine with vodka with the yellow food coloring. So anyways, they knew we had booze and everything. So we got there and we meet them. I lose my friend. I don't know where he went. So I'm with these ladies. They take me to their cabin. And we're sitting on the bed, just chatting, and all of a sudden they slam me on the bed, throw a cover over it, and the lights went out. Next thing I know, the sheets got pulled out of me. I'm looking up, there's this ugly, fat nun just staring down at me. And I thought, oh, my God. So I ran out of like a bat out of hell. I left my shoes even. And it's a cold autumn night. I found my buddy in his car in the parking lot because we were locked out of the cabin. And I'm pounding on the door, help me, she's after me. But the next morning, I confessed to my minister. And he just very calmly, he's used to me, he just very calmly said, Rick, if you want to ever see your shoes again, it would behoove you to apologize to the nun.
Wow.
which I did. And I did get my shoes back. But, the odd thing is, he wanted me, later on, after I graduated and I met with him, he wanted me to go to divinity school. He was going to write a reference.
We think you'd fit in as a priest. A priest, they're really into that Listerine vodka cocktail.
Sure.
I guess so.
That's harsh.
Man, that's rough. Hey, thanks for the call, brother. That might be a whole other day, church malfeasance day.
Oh, yes.
We're sticking to school right now, but that gives us all a pretty good idea around here.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show. We have been discussing all morning long school malfeasance, just getting into trouble with school, getting the principals, getting the nuns, getting whoever on your case. We got to take a break, though, because right now we've got something even cooler than looking back, but this is looking forward. Judas Priest will be at the Armory on May 2nd, and we would love to give away a couple of tickets. We would also love to give away some tickets to see Brother Almanac with Stealing Dan Saturday, February 3rd at First Avenue. So in order to do that, we feel like we've got to put a couple of listeners to the test. We're going to play a game. Tony, please tell me, what do we have in store today?
No, we've been having such a ball this morning, but this will be fun for the giveaway.
The KQ Morning Show presents
Alexa Theater. It's time for Me.
I always forget, and every time it's time for me. It makes me laugh.
Me. Yes, the Oscar nominations were just announced yesterday, and so we asked our Alexa to perform to provide her best delivery of lines for movies. And of course, the big winners or nomination winners were Oppenheimer and Barbie. So we're going to take two contestants. Alexa reads the lines, and you identify the movie that the line is from.
I like it.
Yep.
All right, then, let's get to it. Ryder, who is contestant number one?
We've got Tracy from Spring Lake Park.
Tracy, good morning.
Good morning.
Are you a movie fan?
So. I love movies, but I have yet to find one that's really caught my eye lately.
Okay. All right. Well, then maybe you'll just be flipping a coin on this one, but we wish you the best of luck.
I'm a school nurse, so I'm hoping you guys can help me out here.
All right, we're gonna do.
Okay,
we're gonna do our best, Tracy. Tony's gonna set you up, and good luck to you.
All right, thanks.
All right, Darce, we're just going to play Alexa Red Lines, and you just tell us, is it from the movie Oppenheimer or Barbie? All right, here's your first one.
Power stays in the shadows. Power stays in the shadows.
What do you think, Oppenheimer or Barbie? I am sorry, that is from Oppenheimer.
I would have gone with Barbie, too. I thought that was the big power struggle.
I know, it's a good one. It could have gone either way.
I thought that. I could see it in both. All right, Tracy, 0 for 1. All is not lost. It's just a bad start. We're going to turn it around right here.
Here's your next one.
They won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it. They won't fear it until they understand it, and they won't understand it until they've used it.
I'm sorry, Nurse, what did you guess?
Oppenheimer?
Correct.
Oppenheimer.
Very good. 1 for 1. You're back on track, Tracy.
All right, Trace, here's your third one.
Do you guys ever think about dying? Do you guys ever think about dying?
What do you think? Barbie or Oppenheimer? Sorry, it's from the Barbs.
Dang. I mean, it certainly would be applicable to Oppenheimer as well. But no, that one was Barbie. All right, next one, Tony.
It's a genius of this fine game. Here's your next one.
Humans only have one ending. Ideas live forever.
Oppenheimer.
Sorry, Nurse.
You guys, I don't even know what the movie Oppenheimer's about.
I am...
It's about a lovable chimp.
Yeah.
Whoo, boy.
By the way, you have my respect.
Yeah.
Oh, I called in on the wrong game. I'm telling you, I listen to you every morning, but this ain't going my way.
We got one more for you.
Let's go.
All right.
All right, you're going to nail this.
I'm a man with no power. Does that make me a woman?
That must be Oppenheimer.
Yikes. Oh, well. Hey, it's a guessing game.
Laughing with you, honestly, on this one.
Did you forget there was 2 movies to choose from?
I guess. I don't know. I should have went out and paid the money to see Barbie, I guess.
That's all right. Listen, there's never been a more charming 1 for 5. And by the way, that does not mean, I mean, trust me, you'd be surprised to hear this, but you are not out of the running yet. You may still very well end up with those Judas Priest tickets. But Tracy, we're going to put you on hold for a minute. It's time for contestant number 2. And Ryder, contestant number 2 is?
We've got Alan from Minneapolis.
Alan, good morning.
Hey, good morning.
Did you see either Oppenheimer or Barbie, or both?
Neither one.
Well, then you, my friend, are perfect for today's game.
Right.
Alexa Theater, good luck to you, Alan. Here we go.
All right, Alan, here's your first one.
You don't get to commit sin, and then ask all of us to feel sorry for you when there are consequences.
I'll say Barbie.
All right.
Man.
Nope.
It's all right. It's all right. Good. So, we've well, we're just getting started.
I kind of want to hear both I kind of want to watch Oppenheimer now with the Barbie, entire soundtrack. I want to flip them. I bet the movies might even be more entertaining.
Go Barbenheimer. You can do it.
Let's go. Yeah. Here's your second opportunity to cash in, Alan.
It is literally impossible to be a woman.
Barbie.
Yes.
Attaboy.
That's how it's done.
Boy, can you imagine if that had been a line from one of those Manhattan Project scenes? All right, Alan, you're 1 for 2, brother. Keep it up. Here we go.
Number 3, Alan.
Hiroshima isn't about you.
Oppenheimer.
Yes.
Oh, there it is. Bam.
All right, 2 more to go, Alan. Here's the next one.
I do not have a vagina, and he does not have a penis. We have no genitals.
Well, I hope the heck it's Barbie.
Yes, it is.
It is. Yeah, that's not that wasn't a euphemism for nuclear fission.
No.
All right, Alan, this is your last one.
Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds.
Oppenheimer.
Wow,
that is right.
There it is.
Yes, sir.
Alan, having seen neither film, was still able somehow to pull out a 4 for 5. Those are Joe Mauer-esque numbers, brother. You have won tickets to see Judas Priest May 2nd at the Armory. Congrats. Tracy, as I said before, the most charming 1 for 5 we've ever had. You got tickets to see Brother Almanac with Stealing Dan Saturday, February 3rd at First Avenue. Thank you both for playing. That's great. Cheers, guys. Man, that's good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Now I do want to hear. I would watch an entire movie where Alexa read every line by every character.
I love it so much. Yes.
You're going to need a bigger boat. I mean, just anything, Luke, I am your father. I would just watch any great movie like that. That would be fantastic. Another sort of off the beaten path, a different story that we haven't gotten to today, but I would just feel remiss if we did not mention this. A woman in Wisconsin had a baby during a winter storm last week. Her name is Annalisa Beck. She and her husband, Daniel, were waiting for the blessed event, and the blessed event came as they were trying to get to the hospital. Turned out the baby was born in a parking lot, and not just any parking lot. But, Zepp, do we have the audio?
Here it is.
We're driving, and then her mom is driving behind us, and we're probably 5 minutes down the road. Right here is where the baby was born, right in the trunk.
She was crowning. They showed up, and they ran in and kind of saved the day. It hit me like halfway through, and I just kind of laid my head back in the trunk, and I was like, I'm having my baby at McDonald's. This cannot be real.
Unfortunately, in this field, we see a lot of people leaving this earth, and it was nice to see the other side of it and help somebody deliver their child, which I think is super cool.
By the way, not a McDonald's employee there. That was one of the firefighter paramedics on the scene. When I first listened to it, I hadn't read that, and I went, you see a lot of death at McDonald's?
I thought the same thing. Well,
yeah, so McDonald's parking, the baby's crowning, and she's looking at the golden arches in a snowstorm going, huh.
I'm loving it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I'm loving it. Just going with an old McDonald's slogan there. But if that kid doesn't get free McDonald's for life, which is probably not the kind of thing you should give someone, come on, McDonald's, step up. They'll step up with something, don't you think? But born in the trunk in a McDonald's parking lot. That kid has got a story for the rest of his life.
You deserve a birth today, so get up and get away. I have one of my closest friends, a guy named Tom Osander, or Tomo as we call him, is a great drummer. In the 90s, he was in a band called God Street Wine from New York City, a total jam band, hippie band. They were great. In 1999, he moved to Dublin, Ireland for a summer. He just took a summer gig playing with a band, and that summer gig turned into he's never come back. Met a great girl, got married, had a baby, beautiful story. They have a wonderful life in rural Ireland. And when baby number 2 was set to pop, basically, he goes to bed one night. His very pregnant wife is laying beside him. She wakes him up. It's 4 a.m. and she goes, hey, my water just broke. Let's go. He hops up. They live on a farm in rural Ireland. It's winter. It's in the middle of the night, so it's pitch black in a way that Minnesotans understand. But I mean, it's dark and there's not street lights. I mean, they are in the middle of nowhere. They have a 30-minute drive on a 2-lane windy country road to the nearest hospital, where they've already got a plan in place. They know, but the baby decides to come at that time of night. They hop in their Volvo wagon. They had a friend nearby they had to call so that the friend could come over so they could leave their toddler behind, right? They have a 2-year-old boy. They call the hospital, and they say, we're on our way in. Send the ambulance to meet us if possible. So an ambulance leaves the hospital driving, if an ambulance leaves at 60 miles per hour in one direction, and then Tomo and his wife are driving in the other direction. So on this country lane, the hope is that they will meet the ambulance ahead of time and then get her in there, and then at least paramedics will be on the scene. When the ambulance found them, they had already pulled over, and they were holding their baby in the back seat.
No kidding.
Wow. They're driving along, and it's pitch black, and Tomo hears, pull over right now. And he pulls over, pitch black night. The only light is the interior light of a Volvo station wagon. Wow. And she's in the back seat, and he opens the passenger side door, and she's laying down, and she goes, get ready, and she pushes once, and that baby is in his hands.
Pow.
Wow.
Boom. That quick.
I know a lot of moms listening right now going, that really one direct push?
It was that boom. I mean, just
thank goodness
that baby decided it was coming. Yeah, no, I mean, literally, it could have only gone worse.
You know what you get that couple for a baby gift? I think probably seat covers for the Volvo.
There was one of the first questions I asked. I go, did you clean that car out? He was like, no, we had to bring in a specialist.
Good catch, Dad.
And so so then he climbed in the car. The two of them are sitting there afterwards. They've got this brand new baby.
Wow.
She's holding the baby to her chest. Within 10 minutes or so, they see the flashing lights. The ambulance comes up. He flags them down. Here we go. And the paramedics jump out, and they're like, they're freaking out, but so relieved because everyone's clearly healthy, breathing. It seems to be okay. Mm-hmm. So the baby's 15 minutes old, and one of the EMTs goes, well, so what did we have? And they both went, we didn't even look yet.
Oh, wow.
They hadn't even checked to see what they had. Yeah. And that's when they found out we have a little girl.
Oh, sweet.
Name?
An angel.
Robin. They call her Rue.
Okay.
The roadside angel.
Yep.
Which used to mean something different to me.
Very different.
Yeah.
Back in your truck driving past.
Lot lizard? No. All right. We're having some fun this morning. We're talking about a little trouble that you got into at school back in the day. There's about 5,000 posts on the KQ Facebook page. Of course, we have the talk and text line. Having a lot of fun with that this morning. The One Morning Riders filling in right into the deep end of the pool. 651-989-ROCK. You want to call in? We're talking about a local great. One of our local. In fact, I don't know how it gets more. You've got Paul Bunyan and you've got Joe Mauer, first ballot Hall of Fame. Oh, and also the snowplow contest is back. Hang tight.
It's the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS. Zep, Tony, Candace, and Steve Gorman are the KQ Morning Show, 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show for Wednesday, January the 24th. Good morning. Joe Mauer is in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Voted in yesterday. 76% of the vote. My man is only the third catcher ever to go in on the first ballot. That is astoundingly cool. Johnny Bench, Pudge Rodriguez, Ivan Rodriguez, and now Joe Mauer, the only catchers voted in their first year of eligibility. Gary Carter, Buster Posey, Mike Piazza, Roy Campanella, Carlton Fisk, Yogi Berra. No, none of those guys. Only Joe Mauer, Johnny Bench, and Pudge. That is incredible. What a thing for the fourth St. Paul native. Four guys from St. Paul: Paul Molitor, Dave Winfield, Jack Morris, and now Joe Mauer in baseball's Hall of Fame. Congrats to Mauer and his family and his friends. A truly outstanding thing. There's nothing harder to do in life than get into the Baseball Hall of Fame. I mean, the other halls of fame, I should say, nowhere near as difficult, in my opinion, because football writers, they're a cranky bunch, but they're not completely bat crap crazy, and we all know baseball writers are completely bat crap crazy. So congrats to Joe Mauer. That is an outstanding accomplishment. Really, and like I said, the fourth person from St. Paul to go in, that represents 1% of everybody that's in the Hall of Fame is now from St. Paul.
That's amazing.
The 1%ers. We've got this great piece of audio. No one better to talk about Joe Mauer than, I think, his teammate they might have been their entire careers together. Justin Morneau. I was with Jim Rich on Fox 9.
I think I could call you his best friend. Justin Morneau, who was his partner in crime for so many seasons with the Twins. And you have to be elated to see Joe get honored like this.
Yeah, I think it was a question heading into it. What did the voters see? You never really know how they're going to react. And I think they reacted in the right way because he is a Hall of Famer. He's a guy that when he was on the field, he was the best athlete, he was the best player, and he was the best catcher in the game for a long time. So I think he did things that no one else did in the history of the game. The 3 batting titles. I mean, he led the All-Star game in voting for a kid from the Midwest. It's incredible what he did as a player, and I think the voters recognize that.
The 1-2 pitch. Up the middle, his first hit.
Joe Mauer, 6'5", bending down, squatting down. Those knees, my gosh, how much Ben Gay can one man go through in a life? That giant dude back there behind home plate all those years. And Zep, you said this earlier. The man never played a home game in his life outside the state of Minnesota.
Yeah, right. I mean,
incredible.
I wonder if there's anyone else in Cooperstown that can say the same thing.
it would be, boy.
You'd have to go way back, probably, and I don't even know then if you would. So, unique, and just quietly went about his business. I watched him season after season. Great player. You knew he was going to be clutch and come up and put that double for you. Mm-hmm. Obviously, great behind the plate in ways that your average fan just sitting around, we probably weren't even aware of, that the writers and certainly the rest of his, fellow baseball players were. And then it would be the end of the season, be like, oh yeah, I won the batting title. Oh yeah, I won a Silver Glove. Oh, I did? I mean, what? Because the Twins those years didn't have, unfortunately, those great postseason games, those teams, which takes away nothing from his accomplishments, of course. But yeah, just quietly went in a very St. Paul way, like those guys did, except for maybe Dave Winfield.
Yeah. Mauer said yesterday, most people know I lost my dad about a year ago. It was a year and 7 days to the day. When you think about the position I'm in, he's obviously been a huge part of that. And both my grandpas, too. I'm thankful they all got to see my last game. I would love to have him here celebrating with him, but I know he's smiling up there and looking down. That is exactly what everybody that gets in there, they just immediately, when they hear, they almost all say, I went right back to, where it starts as a baseball player. It's you and your pop out in the driveway, for every one of those guys. I had shoot, I shouldn't eat. Well, there's a pitcher, guy was pitching for the Pirates for years, that I just met once, on the road, like in 2013. And I'm spacing on his name, and if I mentioned him, you would all know who I'm talking about. But a guy who was bouncing around the leagues for many years, a good arm. And the whole point of this is to say that he got his first All-Star game, and it was at Wrigley Field, and Jason Grilli. Oh man, just pulled it out. Jason Grilli. Okay. He got named to his first All-Star game, and it was at Wrigley Field. And I was asking him about it. I had him on my sports show after a time, and I said, "Man, what an amazing thing! What must that have been like? What was the highlight of the weekend?" And he goes, "Oh, it was the day we got there. I went out onto the field at Wrigley with my dad, and we just played catch in the outfield." And as he said it, his voice just cracked, and he goes, "It was the most emotional." He goes, with the ivy walls, and it's just me and my dad just throwing catch for 10 minutes, and I was like. And then cue me in 1988 on a hangover seeing Field of Dreams. And I don't even know what it makes no sense, but at the same time, I'm like, it was the most amazing movie I've ever seen in my life.
I know, awful movie, but I teared up at the end.
Yeah, that's all that matters. The fight, Dad, you want to have a catch? And every guy I know is like, was kind of confused, and then I burst into tears.
Right. Yeah.
The end of the Natural, too, when Redford is just throwing the ball with his boy.
Nothing like it in the world. So Joe Mauer's family and friends, well done. All he is. That is great. We spent a whole lot of time today talking about school malfeasance, things we got into, and I did mention this briefly. So before we move on, because I do want to talk about this snowplow thing, I just need to follow up on a tease, which was I had a class at my school one day, like you'd have PE, and sometimes it'd be like a bowling class or a tennis class, and you just half-ass your way through it. So one time it was golf, and it was you just went out into the giant backyard with a bucket of fake balls, and teacher kind of taught you how to swing. It was just one of these things you did. But one day it was pouring rain, and so we had these little AstroTurf rolls you could lay down in the hallway, and then as a fake putting green. And so at my school, there were some vending machines, there was a microwave oven to heat up stuff. There was different things, and we're all in the main hallway right outside the administrative offices, and we're putting on a carp, just a rolled out AstroTurf vibe, a group of us, and no one noticed that suddenly one of the microwaves was on and spinning. No one thought twice about it. There's a microwave oven right there off to the side. And without any warning, the door of the microwave blows off. Whoa. A loud explosion. I mean, the sound you would imagine a bomb to make, and black smoke pouring out of the microwave. And thankfully, and nobody standing right in front of the door of the microwave when this happened, because it just blasted out. The wall across the hall was sprayed with this burning stuff. What? And, I mean, the whole school, every smoke alarm goes off. The school's evacuated. I mean, it's a real thing. And long story short, one of the kids in the class who turned out to be, his name was Donnie. He was his class's valedictorian. This is a kid who's never made anything less than an A+ in his life. He was a super genius type kid. He was sitting there and he thought, oh, you know, it'd be funny is if I put a golf ball in the microwave and just got it hot and then pulled it out and said, hey, and threw it to someone, they'd catch it, and then it would be hot.
Oh, you.
He put it in the microwave and just clicked high and then forgot to pull it out. And it was just going for several minutes. And if you ever wondered what happens when a golf ball gets microwaved, it eventually explodes like a bomb. And if somebody had been standing right in front of it, which seconds earlier, everyone's milling around the area. It was the luckiest thing ever. If somebody had been standing there, they would have been rushed to the hospital with burns all over their body because the rubber core, the inside of that thing got so hot it exploded out. And like I said, it was all against the brick wall on the other side of the hallway. It just sprayed straight out, and nobody got hurt. So it was a miracle.
Yeah, no crap. Well, now I know what happens when you microwave a golf ball. But what about the school hamster? No, just messing around there. I don't go down that path. Don't do that.
I remember thinking, had it been me, had I been the person responsible, there's no way I would have ever copped to it. I mean, my first thought is just like, oh my God, well, if no one knows who did it, I would never confess. No. Once the literal smoke had cleared a bit and we're all trying to figure out what happened, he just walked right up to the he goes, I'm sorry, I did that. He just owned it. Wow. And so, of course, he didn't really get in trouble because it was like, oh, good old Donnie. He's a brilliant kid, and he admitted the crime. I mean, he got some sort of punishment, but it was like handled very directly and without a lot of passion from anybody. And I was like, oh, that's accountability. Huh.
Sometimes it is. I remember nothing, not even a story I'm going to share because it's not entertaining at all, but I witnessed something like that. I'm like, oh, if you just fess up, and I think mom and dad backed it up. They went, yeah, just go ahead and confess it, and it'd be a lot worse than if you're lying and you get caught. And so the next time I get into a little bit of trouble, I went, I did it. No, I get into a lot of trouble. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's a mood thing with adults. You never know.
That's very true. These things happen. Let's see, what do we got here? Oh, this is it. I'm so excited. I almost forgot. The Minnesota Department of Transportation has got the 4th year in a row Name a Snowplow contest. Last year's winners were You're a Blizzard, Y-E-R a Blizzard, Simply Harry, Blizzo, which is a good one, Cleopatra. Cleopatra. That's pretty. Better Call Salt. Cute. Better Call Salt's pretty good. Han Snowlo. Yeah. This is a good one. Tot Hot Dish. How about this? Scoop, There It Is. That's pretty good. And Fleetwood Mac. So this happens every year. This year's finalists, we're not going to give you all 50, but there are some good ones in here. Best in Snow. That's super simple. Yeah. Best in Snow. Can't Snow Me Down. Dolly Plowton. Don't Flurry, Be Happy. Come on, that's pretty good. That's all right.
That's good, yeah.
Let's see. Skull Plow. Yeah, I like this one. You're Killing Me, Squalls.
Oh, that's good.
That's straight up, You're Killing Me, Smalls.
It's really good. This one sounds so Minnesotan. Oh, for Sleet's sake.
Oh, right. I like it. I like that
snow
one.
You didn't. Oh, snow you didn't.
My favorite is I Came, I Thaw, I Conquered.
Strong. I like it. Every Day I'm Shoveling, Fast and Furious, Flake Superior, Clark W. Blizzwald.
No,
that's good.
Okay, all right. I see you working out there.
These are funny.
Yeah, these are pretty good. Snowmageddon, Snow White and the Seven Drifts, Sweet Child of Brine. That's the official KQ entry. That's got to be it. We'll take the Guns N' Roses for 100, Alex.
First year they did this, we put ours in, and which I came up with Get Plowed, but they didn't. I keep trying to bring it back. I didn't put it in this year. I did it for like 2 or 3 years in a row. But yeah, MnDOT just not going for the drinking reference there. I guess behind the snowplow wheel.
MnDOT, no sense of humor. Jeez.
What about Taylor Drift? That's so topical. It's so now.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Hey, the Fontainebleau Las Vegas is the newest luxury resort and casino on the Las Vegas Strip. Fontainebleau, we want to send you there for the big game weekend. Oh, the big game weekend? Sure. One winner is going to score a trip for 2 to Las Vegas. That includes airfare, a 2-night stay at Fontainebleau, Las Vegas, $150 credit to spend at one of its 36 restaurants and bars, and 2 tickets to the Fontainebleau Las Vegas big game viewing party at Bleu Live Theater. Bleu Live Theater.
Sacre bleu.
The place will look like this one, and you will drink the wine, and you will have cheeses, and you will feel fetid. All you got to do, if you want to win this bad boy, text the national keyword BIG, B-I-G, to 95819 right now to enter for your chance to win. BIG to 95819.
All right. Still more fun to be had yet this morning. It's been a trip down memory lane. Not so serious things you got into trouble for at school. We even heard from a principal this morning who's been listening in. Over 300 comments on the KQ Facebook page. We're going to continue with that trip down memory lane. Hang tight.
Connect with us on the KQ Talk and Text line. 651-989-ROCK. That's 651-989-ROCK. 92 KQRS.
I'm Steve Gorman. This is the KQ Morning Show, Wednesday, January the 24th. Hey, check this out. The Tee It Up Golf Card number 2 goes on sale Friday at 9 a.m. You can golf 6 area courses and save $175 doing it. Get yours at 92KQRS.com. Search the keyword golf. On the show today, 2 main things. First of all, Joe Mauer is now in the Baseball Hall of Fame. That is outstanding. He's only the 3rd catcher to ever go in on his first ballot. You got to get 75% of the vote. He got 76% of the vote. Joe Mauer, congratulations. That is outstanding. We were talking about school difficulties, malfeasance, things we got in trouble for. And oh man, for everybody who called in and shared their stories, thank you. For the literally hundreds of people who posted on Facebook and sent in text messages, thank you very much. I do want to share a post. Are there any texts we missed worth mentioning, Tony?
My husband wore an Ed Gein T-shirt to school, and they made him turn it inside out.
That's something Ed Gein would have done with your skin.
Absolutely.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's pretty strong. Didn't see that one coming. On Facebook, I saw this. Cecilia wrote, my friend and I got dismissed for the day because we were 1 minute late to class. We both had tickets for the Offspring that week and got grounded and couldn't go. Still mad about that one.
I think Offspring has a song about that.
What was Offspring? Is that Pretty Fly for a White Guy? Was that there?
Yeah.
It was keep them separated.
Keep them separated. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right. I mean, I'll just go ahead and say it. Your teacher did you a favor. You didn't miss anything. That's just one man's opinion. It's a joke. I'm just trying to get Ryder to get mad at me.
Literally, my first show I ever saw was Offspring at First Avenue.
Really?
So she probably missed out on that show that I went to.
When I said, was that Pretty Fly for a White Guy? Ryder gave me the big thumbs up like, oh, yeah, baby. So I knew there was an Offspring story coming.
The deep cut is I Want You Bad.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Very good. I missed 2 concerts in my life. I had an offer to go see Kiss and The Who and was denied both times because of bad grades.
Oh,
yeah.
God. I thought you were like the 8th kid. You mean they were still holding you to rules?
That's all they did. That was my dad. Didn't know what classes I was taking. All this, but he's like, suddenly he's like, "What's this midterm D in algebra?" I'm like, "Who cares? It's algebra. You know me. I'll bring it to a C and escape the guillotine." And I missed a Kiss show where one of their crew fell on stage during the show. A lighting guy fell right at Paul Stanley's feet. Could have been there. And then 2 years later, I had a ticket in my hand. I could have been at the Who show in Cincinnati where all the kids got stomped. I missed that because of a bad grade.
Wow.
So I would have been in that throng as well because my friend who went with his sister, they were right in the middle of that scrum. Both fell. No one got, but they were helped to their feet and escaped injury. So one I wish I'd seen and one I'm kind of glad I missed.
Right.
That's how that goes.
Parents were saving your life.
Pretty much. There was one more. Let me see if I can find it that I was going to share. Just so many of these are so funny and they're just nuts. Oh, here it is. While attending middle school in California, this is from Shane, our science teacher was pretty cool and would actually horseplay and wrestle with students. Things got a little aggressive, and I full-on punt kicked him right in his family jewels.
Oh!
I found myself with a week-long in-school suspension.
What?
If
the guy's allowing for that sort of horseplay. I was thinking about wrestling my science teacher, and poor Mrs. McGuire wouldn't have stood a chance. I would have had her tied up in knots.
She was scrappy. She was
pretty great. It's funny. I saw something the other day, and it said it was like a list, and it said, "Who are the 5 wealthiest people on earth? Can you name them like without thinking about it?" And I was like, "Well, no. I mean, I probably know who they are, but I can't name them." And then it said, "Who won the Academy Award for Best Actor when you were a senior in high school?" And it just asked all these questions, and then it said, who are your 5 favorite teachers? And of course, they come to mind right away. And the point was, don't get caught up in fame and fortune. Like, think about who really matters in your life. And the teachers I remember the most are the ones that taught me in the classes I couldn't stand, because they made me focus. And they, like my English teacher, I loved reading. I loved history. Like, those teachers, I remember them, but they never had to get me to work hard, so I don't think about them first. My science teacher, Mrs. McGuire, she saw me first day of school I ever had her, and she was like, this kid is bored to tears. I got to get some work done with him. And she would not let me off the hook. And I remember so much crap she taught me or made me learn. All these little sayings to help you remember things. There's so much about, I had so many classes with her, dissecting a frog and learning about the plant kingdom and everything in between with Mrs. McGuire, and so much of that, which I hated every minute of it, I remember all of it now. It's like, wow, yeah, she never let me off the hook. That's a pretty amazing job.
She'd love to know that.
If you were winning an Oscar, you'd probably bring her up. Those teachers bothered me.
Yeah.
I didn't want to, the ones that tried to care too much, that wanted to reach you. I'm like, you don't understand. I'm going into radio. I've already made the commitment. I'm going to flunk out of college. I'm going to drop out of everything I have ever done. I wore skin-colored tights to school, Cheryl said. Got kicked out for that one, yeah.
Skin-colored tights, that'll twist some heads.
Yeah,
Make no mistake about it. Hey, speaking of school and speaking of I'm not going to even go to college, check this out. Cam McCormick graduated high school in 2016, which is weird to think, but 2016 is now, that's a while ago. I mean, that's not like 2 years ago. In my mind, I'm like, oh, so he's 20. Oh, no, he's not. 2016 is now 8 years ago. Came out of high school in 2016 as one of the best college recruits. He's a football player, and he was highly sought. He originally went to the University of Oregon, started playing. He was sidelined by a string of injuries requiring 6 different surgeries. And then, of course, along came the pandemic. Extenuating circumstances, well beyond what most people experience. The powers that be in college athletics kept giving him waivers to play far longer than normal. He's been in college for 9 years, and he's about to play for the University of Miami for one more season.
Wow.
He just keeps drunk and stupid. There's no way to go through. I'm thinking of how long? 8
Dean
years
Wormer.
of college, shot down.
Dean Vernon Wormer allowed this man to play that long. He says, I've been in college for 9 years. Is that what I wanted when I started? No, but everything happens for a reason. I know I'm mentally strong. I'd rather this happen to me. He still hopes of making the NFL upon graduation. You're 25 years old. He's a tight end. He's been literally playing college football. He's about to play his 9th year. Wow. I don't know that the NFL is going to come. I mean, it would be a great story if they did. But, what's the first thing GMs look at is what's injuries? Anything? This guy got a tendency to get hurt? Yeah, I'd say so. But what a story.
Well, I mean, did he happen to get a degree along the way, working on a doctorate or something?
Oh, I mean, there's no mention of that, of course. Yeah. It's just simply a 25-year-old man's going to go out there and just pancake a bunch of 18-year-old kids.
You got to go to a lot of good parties.
That's always the thing. Remember in the old days, BYU would make a bowl game, and they have a lot of their students, Mormons, had already done their 2-year mission trip, and they would regularly have 23, 24, and 25-year-old players going up against 18-year-olds. And you're like, well, they're not that big good, but they seem way stronger. It's like, yeah, they're 25.
Yeah.
It's just how that goes. They're naturally much, much stronger. And as long as we're talking about sports, let's look back. On this day in 1982, Joe Montana got his first ring. The San Francisco 49ers beat the Cincinnati Bengals 26-21. The Niners went on to win 5 in a span of 14 years. And it's been but it's been a long time since they've won a Super Bowl. And people still look at the Niners like one of those. I mean, people still like you're either a Niners fan or you hate them. They're just this side of the Cowboys, at least in the way I see things. They were so good for so long, and they went from Montana to Young, which seemed unfair, that we still have that thing of like the entire nation is cheering for Detroit this weekend. No one. I mean, maybe NFC North rival fans don't care, but anybody else is seeing this, and the first thing you think is, oh, anybody to beat the Niners in the playoffs, especially a team that hasn't been there in so long. Ryder has been filling in for Candace all morning. Thank you very much, Ryder. We appreciate it. You have just a few seconds here. You're the only Lions fan I can see right now. So how do you feel about the game?
Dude, let's keep it competitive. Like, we don't have to win. Let's just not get a total blowout, and I am good.
Really?
You are a Lions fan.
It's been a hell of a season. I encourage every NFC North fan to get on board with this. I mean, we should say it'd be killer to send a representative from the Midwest to the Super Bowl, but man,
that's very true.
Just keep it competitive. Just don't embarrass me.
Oh, right. Don't embarrass me.
Yeah.
This year.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, that's true. It's been 60-some. It's been almost 70 years since they got a championship out of that team. So I don't think embarrassing you is possible at this point because, as you said, this has been a great season. But they got a good. Hey, listen, Green Bay should have won that game. That was not a fluke. The Niners are not as impervious to defeat as they once seemed a few weeks ago. So I think Detroit's got every chance in the world to win in this bad boy. On this day in 1999, David Duval shot a 59 at a PGA event, a 59 for 18 holes. And we talked about this a few hours ago, and I was so freaked out about it, and you and I were laughing, Zepp. And then I forgot to mention, by the way, in 2016, Jim Furyk shot a 58.
Oh my God! I think was that in the United States?
Yeah, a 58 for 18 holes, and there's not a windmill to be seen. It's real golf. That was the Travelers Championship, TPC River Highlands in Connecticut. If you and I went out there, Zepp, and played that course, if we shot under 100, we would literally do a backflip. Like it would be because we had miracle putts all along the way. Furyk ran up a 58.
I feel that way if I shoot under 100 over here at Columbia. For crying out loud!
That's very
Anytime
true.
I'm in the double digits. That's mine. I mean, I'm trying to put that round together in my head, and I'm just not seeing it.
Man,
I mean, it's what every shot you must have hit, where you go out there, even professionals, because professional clunk one or didn't go right where I wanted it to. That's an average round. Even for the best pros, Tiger probably didn't play many rounds where he went, every damn shot went exactly where I wanted it to go.
Nope.
That, a 58, 59, that has to be like, literally every time I swung the club, I put the ball right where I wanted to put it.
Yeah, it would feel, I can't imagine doing that, but it's hard to even imagine walking a course with a guy playing at that level. I've played a couple rounds of golf with professional golfers, not PGA guys, but guys that were on the Nike Tour, or at the time it was called the Hooters Tour. And I played a round of golf with a guy who'd never been on the course we were playing, and he shot a 70. He shot 2 under par, and he'd never seen the course. And the whole time, all I kept thinking is, well, I'm playing golf, so what are you playing? It was just such a different thing.
Get the KQ Morning Show podcast wherever you listen. 92 KQRS.